there's too much coaching of kids now compared to what there was before?
Yes. Yes. Because I mean, to me now, kids, I've got a grandson who's just now moved up to another, but I mean, I stay away out the road because I don't want to upset him, but you go on the 7-a-sides of the situation now, and you hear boys talking about the 7-a-sides, so I'm a defender, I'm a midfielder, I'm a striker. Just go in the wee 7-a-side park and play. Just let them run. Just let them run all over the place, pass the ball, look at them, and enjoy themselves. Not drummed into them at 8-year-old. I'm a defender. I'm a striker. Go. You're wanting to be a football player. At the end of the day, I mean, I tell you the situation now, I mean, I can go back to myself. When I was at primary school, I played in goals. I played in goals for commercial primary school, I played in goals for Fife select primary schools. I played out at East End here as a wee laddie against Aberdeen. And the boy that played right back for us that day was a certain Tam Parker, who ended up being the groundsman here. Tam would come. But I mean, I was a goalkeeper. And then in later years, I moved and I played centre forward. Played outside left at first, and then when I come back to the DAHT apprentices, I moved into centre forward. So it just shows you that I just wanted to play football. I mean, I wish I had a fiver for every time my mum or dad says to me, are you going to kick that ball against that wall all night? Because that was all you done was practice.
Do you think then, because children are coached these days, that they don't play the game themselves enough, or just play football themselves enough?
Right. Sometimes they're looking to the sidelines for their instructions all the time, and sometimes they're scared to do things. You know, I mean, I can remember a situation when going back to Davie McParland, and we had a wee boy in here. You'll know the wee boy that used to come in at night and train, and we Ian Millen come from Crosgates, played with, you know, and we had the boys in for a fortnight full time working on various things and that, and we played full back, and you know, we done the road where the ball got played up, got played back into the midfield player, played back, and then trying to draw the full back out for the ball to go over for the winger then to go. So we had worked on all these various things over. I had them in full time for a couple of weeks. So then Davie says to me, he says, Ian Milne's playing up at the back of the hospital on Sunday morning. Says, well, you go up and have a look, see how he's doing. I says, this is not a problem. So I goes up, and we're 10 minutes into the game, and Ian tries this and plays the ball into the midfield player. Instead of the midfield player giving him it back, he tries to turn, gets caught, the ball's played through, boom, and the other team scores. And the shout from the touchline from Ian's coach was, Millen, I've told you to forget all about that Dunfermline athletic rubbish and just get the ball up the park. So I just walked away. I says, there's no point in me staying here any longer and listen to these guys, you know. I mean, I think the time to go back to the coaching side, I mean, when we first started coaching and that with the SFA, I mean, we were monitored all the time. I mean, I remember Chris Canlish and I were through playing Clyde at Kilsyth Rangers Bar, and at the end of the game this boy come across and says, okay boys, I'm such and such from the SFA, and quite happy to tell you that your conduct as coaches and your coaching from the sidelines been good, so that's fine. I think a lot of these boys for the boys clubs went through these coaching courses with the SFA. They go away and nobody ever monitors them. So, you know, that's a situation where things could have been better. But then it's the SFA paying money again for somebody to go and do that. All they were wanting was the money coming in.
Right.
I mean, it's we've got a load of these guys now who the SFA have taken a lot of money off it because they've made certain the rules that they had to have certain badges to go on and coach in this youth initiative. And now, if they only have 7 academies, where are all these coaches going to go? They'll go back to boys club football, I hope, and we don't lose them. So I don't know what the situation will be. We'll just wait and see. I don't know what the situation's going to be at our own club, whether FIFA keeps going or no after next season. It would be a sad loss because of the people that do it. Stephen Wright, and he's got Bill Henry in now, having given him a hand. Bill, who was at Hibs when I done administration, and Bill was a great guy, always very, very helpful to with anything that you wanted, you know. So
you meet a lot of good people that work away in the background at football clubs throughout the country, but don't get the recognition that possibly deserve. But you know, they're not there to make people think, look at me, what I've done, but they just work away in the background and do in fact their job because they like it and whatever.
I mean, they're doing it for nothing, a lot of people, peanuts. I mean, for what I got, when I first started off, I got paid nothing, and then John Ritchie come in and he got a minor payment, like, you know, but I mean, it cost me more than phone calls to do the administration, and you got paid, but that's not what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, and these, I mean, the people that I know the people who have appreciated what I've done round about the club. I mean, going back to Bertie and Dick, and then Jimmy Calderwood and Jimmy Nichol, terrific guys. Sandy Clark, when he was here the first time, was an amazing guy to work with. I mean, I remember going through to a reserve match against Rangers at Broadwood, and we had a team of young boys, but I was doing the kit because Mo was involved with the first team here, you know, at the training. It was an afternoon match, and we were through with this team of young boys. McGlinchey was one of them. I mean, it was basically the team that was in Corfu, if I look at it. And we scored 2 early goals against the Rangers, and Rangers got a good team out. I mean, McGregor was playing, Alan Hutton was playing, all that, you know, goes in at half time, winning 2-0. Sandy says, right, he says, I know, he says, what Durante and Bomber are saying in there. Right now, this is what's going to happen. They're going to come out and they're going to do this. And they went round every one of their young boys and says, and to combat that, you'll do this, you'll do that. Well, Rangers come out and done exactly as Sandy had said, and we beat them 2-1. But it was terrific to see somebody, you know, actually doing that, and as me as a raw coach looking at somebody that.
Did you get a lot of support then from the managers that were here?
Basically, the majority of them were fine. Yeah. As I've said, Bertie and Dick were great. Jimmy Calder would come in. Jimmy was always there, he always knew what was going on. Jimmy Nick would come to more matches, which was fair, because, but I mean, I could tell you that, I mean, at that time, our boys, if they got called up into the reserve squad, they got money, right? They were given money for, I mean, it wasn't a lot, 30 quid or something. Well, it was a lot of money to them, because they were maybe only on £80 a week, so if they were getting called up into the reserve squad and they were getting £30, £35, it was good. But Jimmy Calder would come into JR and say that I'm needing a boy for the reserve team for the weekend or whenever it was. JR would say, oh, well, I'll give him Davie Hunter. No, I was watching him the day, he says, and he was guising. So he's not coming into the squad and remember and tell him. The reason that he's not in the squad, because when Jimmy would come down, we would be down early with the boys, and they would set up whatever the first team wanted set up, and had done their warm up, and we were doing our routines. When the two Jimmies would come down, Jimmy Nick would take them away in the warm up, but Jimmy Calderwood was watching, he had eyes all over the place watching what was going on with the young boys. So, and he would tell you, right, you tell him that's the reason why, it's not because he was guysing. You come to Davie, he didn't get a lot of Davie in a sense because he was a quiet man. But in saying that, Paul Haggerty and Kirky were fine, giving a hand, and it was Craig Robertson at that time. Big Leash to come in, who was, well, he had his hands filled, I'll be honest about it, he had his hands filled with trying to get the first team and that sorted back. So that was the sort of situation then when I was left on my own to do, started me doing the administration. Stephen Kenny, nah, job was just too big for him in my point of view. He was, although saying that, because he was here, Hamish and I actually got a trip to Ireland across to Londonderry for the Foyle Cup, because there was a team had called out in the Foyle Cup and they had asked Stephen if he would send a team across. So Hamish, Roger Arnott and myself went across. That was another one who did a lot for me as well, was Roger Arnott, who's now director at the Hearts Academy. And we got a wee trip to Ireland with the boys, stayed at the university, and it was good. And Jim McIntyre come in. Jim was different class with me especially. He was a terrific guy. And then of course since Jim Jeffries, I mean I'll never forget Jim Jeffries when he come in. That was basically finishing at the end of that season, you know. Jim come in, and I was down in the Undercroft in the Players' Lounge at half time at one of the young boys matches, or a reserve match, whatever it was, and wee Josh was asking me if I was going to Brecon. I think it was on the Saturday, you're going to Brecon. I says, nah, I says, with me not having a car, I says, I find it difficult unless one of my pals is going up to get the transport and that. And Jim Jeffries come across and says to me, says, Davie, says, any time you want to go to an away match, just let me know and you will come in the team bus. Which I thought was a terrific thing, you know. So Jim was a good hand the time he was here, and then of course I've basically retired since then, but I'm in here twice a week, go in, and Alan Johnson's fine with Sandy's there, Potts, who's a character. I mean, I go way back and remember one of the first games that I ever played against Celtic was at Fauldhouse Juniors Park, and we had Big Nishy played centre forward, and John Potter was captain of the Celtic under-18 team that day.
And how did he play?
I think Nishy left him standing. no, Potts, I'm just kidding. No, John played that. He was captain of the Celtic, and a boy called Peter Weir was in charge of him. He was a super guy. I mean, the number of people that I've met in this game, there's one or two that
you would like to meet again. But the majority have been good.
Yeah, and it's the same with the laddies. I mean, I don't think there's any laddie that's ever been bad with me, and I couldn't go and shake hands with in the high street.
Yeah. Is there any other stories about any players that are actually
current players?
Yeah, that we could hear.
No, not really. No, I mean there's these group of players that we've got now. I mean the way they treat me down in that changing room and that when I go in the players' lounge and that, it's absolutely terrific. You know, I mean, and one of the best. He's just two of the best possibly. They've just left Davie Hutton and Callum Fordyce were terrific guys. I mean, another one that I got on, Andy Geoghegan. You know, Geggs is a character. Higgy's a great character. But no, there's no. No, these boys are all terrific with me. And Mo, of course, I mean, I can't go without mentioning Mr. Hutton and Mr. Drummond. I mean, go
Because
back.
they were coaching as well at that time.
When I got moved to the under 16s, down to the under 14s because of Gary going through the goals, it was Mo and Bobby that were, they moved in with the under 16s and terrific. Hold it and dod it. But and well, I mean, to this day, I mean, Bobby's been across in Spain for a long time now, but to this day, Mo and I get on great. I mean, if I go into the Undercroft and don't hear a swear word towards me within the first 10 seconds, I turn back, I'm in the wrong place, because it's just a terrific relationship and that we've got with one another, because we've gone through it all that 20 odd years, you know.
Are there any other players then that you think were worthy of a big mention from? Even players that, you know, Dunfermline played against in that youth, and the youth teams that have maybe stood out that played against you?
Oh, aye. I mean, there's loads and loads of players. I mean, I can remember being down at the Davie at that tournament I was telling you about that we organised, and watching Rangers playing, and I'm watching this wee boy playing in the middle of the park, and I'm saying, who the hell's he? I mean, this boy is amazing. And it was Barry Ferguson. More recently, you go to the Youth Cup final and you look at the competition in the middle of the park with Sean Byrne and John Hearn, who's here. You know, I mean, John was a really good player. Different ones. I mean, even local boys who went and we played against, who unfortunately didn't come here, went to the Rangers. A wee boy called Gary Dewar went to Rangers to come for Dunfermline. Wee Archie Campbell. You know, I mean, all these boys were, unfortunately, their dads thought they were better than Dunfermline Athletic. But I mean, that's a thing that you've got to look on as well, that a lot of people don't realise. When you're touting for players for your academy, when we were just Dunfermline Athletic, I mean, first of all, you had Rangers and Celtic. If they were interested, the boys would go there. Then you had across the water Hearts, Hibs. You had Livingston, who do you say that? You go up the road a bit, you've got St Johnstone, you've got the two Dundee clubs, and that's not counting the 5 clubs that you've got round about. Falkirk, just along the road as well. So we were sitting in the middle there and trying to attract these boys, and it was hard. It was hard. I mean, there was one that I didn't mention who was with us as a boy, but we let him go because he had transport difficulties getting to the training and coming across the bridge. It was Murray Davidson, who we allowed him to go to Livy, and then Livy got money for him, and now he's at St Johnstone, one of the mainstays in a good St Johnstone side. So I mean, there's always boys go through. Another one that I thought that turned out injury prone, that I thought was going to be a central midfield player for years, was Nicky Finn. Nicky come through here as a 13-year-old boy. Terrific attitude, terrific boy. But unfortunately, he just got injury prone.
Was it difficult then? Because you're saying that, you know, players left or they didn't want to join us. Was it because of the youth system, or was it because they felt that they wouldn't get a chance playing?
A lot of it could do with travelling. You know, I mean, although we eventually started to get boys from Edinburgh to come, but if you were training at say 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, then if the boy's mum or dad were working and weren't home to 5:30, so how could they get from Livingston across to here for 10 to 6 to get changed for going to the train? So we had that situation. You also had the situation, of course, that some clubs offered money, where we had nothing. And I mean, I know a lot of boys who claim that they were scouts, that they got this boy to their club and that boy to the club, and I know that 50% of the reason was they were offering them money, they were paying them money. We couldn't do that. We didn't have the money to pay our coaches, to far less pay for players. But no, it's a hard world that a lot of people do not realise, and the situation is now, I think I'll go back to my day. I mean, to have played for Dunfermline Athletic would have just been my dream. But I don't know if a lot of boys have got these dreams now. They want to be a professional football, but it doesn't matter to them what club they're with. It's whatever club comes in and gives them the best deal, gives them the best opportunity. So that's where we've got to keep going. I mean, and I think Stephen's done a marvellous job, and this young boy Paul Allen that we've got coming in, I mean, I just think he's absolutely outstanding for somebody who's come in. You've watched him playing at under 20s as you have, Craig, and I mean, to go in and play.
17.
And I mean, he's not a centre half. He's played centre half for us. He's a midfield player, you know, and he's got a real good chance if he's nurtured and brought through in the proper manner, and which I think he will be. I mean, that's a thing that used to annoy me, you know, with certain things. If you brought a boy through for 11-year-old and he's gone through every age group, and whoever his coach has been, he's thought he's been good enough to go on, and then he's been good enough to be brought in full time. If he doesn't make it when he comes in and does his 2 years full time, whose fault is it? Because he's moved on, he's improved over 6 years, and then if he doesn't improve during that time, then has there been something wrong with what our system has been? So that's where I think that we've got to get it right.
Do you think then that players that get maybe a 2-year contract, young players, and I know that's likely going to change anyway, but young players that get a professional contract and they get it for 2 years, do you think that's long enough?
No, I don't think so, because now you're in the situation where you've got this dual age band at 16, 17s. Now you might have a boy that's leaving school at 16-year-old. He's only done so. So to make sure that you don't lose him if he's a good player, then you've got to bring him in full time. So then if he only gets 2 years, then he's still only 18-year-old. We'll take it as the system has been, where it's been under 20s. He's still only 18-year-old. And you're releasing him. And he's got another 2 years that he could play as it was at that age group, at under 20. So physically, he's maybe not matured physically until maybe the last couple of months of that 2 years, and then he can go on. I mean, we'll look at players that we've just lost. I mean, Johnny Galloway at the start of this season was absolutely flying. So much so that the manager had him in his first team squad early doors. And Johnny had a dip, he had a couple of injuries and things like that, and he went back. We released him, but I'm talking to you earlier on about things that a player can do. Now look at that last game that he played against St Johnstone. Just look what he done in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. With the space that he gave himself away, he worked the ball and played Brandon Luke in to score the goal. Now, that's the things I'm talking about, the players. So maybe Johnny's been unlucky, he was flying, took a dip, and then When coming back the last couple of games, it's maybe just been too late.
Mm.
Another one that I think will be a player, if he gets physically stronger as well, is Robbie Crawford, because he can see a pass. He can good control on the ball. He just looks up and he sees something. And Rhys Duncan was released as well, and I thought for a long spell towards the halfway to the maybe 2/3 of the way through the season, I thought Rhys Duncan was possibly the most improved player in the under-20s at that time. And then he took a wee injury and got left out and found it difficult to go back in. So you go, I mean, these boys might come back and bite you, but you know, it's a thing that you've just got to take.
But boys mature at different levels, different ages. You could get quite a physically well-built 16-year-old, but then you can get an 18-year-old that's not the same build or stature or physique at all, and it's going to take him another year or 2 years to get that physicality.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you've brought somebody in here that, let's say Robbie Crawford at 16 and let him go at 18, at 2 years down the line, everything could be just right in place for him, you know. I mean, we look at the other boys that we've got. I mean, look how Stuart Morrison's built his body up over. I mean, he come in at 15-year-old into the under-20s 2 years ago as a skinny wee laddie and done great, and he's just built his body up now. I've not seen a better centre-half in that under-20 league than Stuart. Look at Cammy Gill. I mean, these are all boys that we've got to look on and look at the future of this club.
Do you think playing with experienced players when they're at that age group brings them along?
Yes.
So in a way, do you think this Operation Brave will work?
It might do, but what I didn't like with the development where it was 5 players, because you could play 5 overage. I've nothing against overage players coming in and playing, but I thought maybe 2, and if you had a situation where one was a goalkeeper, because you could have maybe made it 3. Because I think you're curbing the youth players' development because a lot of them aren't playing enough. But I mean, I know for a fact, just through talking to the laddies and that, I mean, every time I come down I speak to the laddies and that. And Stuart Morrison, I mean, I've just seen on the website that Callum Fordyce is away, he's leaving. You ask Stuart Morrison about the number of times he played alongside Dicey, where Dicey would talk him through the game, and the experience that he's got off of playing with Dicey is good. Plus possibly experience, and sometimes he's played against some good strikers, older boys who have come in and caused them problems. Stuart's, I'm biased. I always want to see the youth playing. I always want to see our youth playing, but I understand the situation. But I would have liked to have seen it if it was restricted to maybe 2 or maybe 3 instead of 5, because I've gone up to Kelty there at times and I've seen the team, and 5 of the young boys are on the bench, and you know, a lot of the older ones playing. And then I've got to look at the situation as well, where they're talking now about if this Operation Brave comes in, and then if we put young laddies out on loan, then that's what we'll do. That they're saying it's worked for Connor Duffy, but did it work for Scotty Lochhead? Sparky played a lot at the time, but I mean, I can remember going away back that we had a boy, Stuart Dearden, Hamish and I, big centre half, stats, great big lad, and he went up to Brecon in the January and played 17 minutes between then and the end of the season. So what good did that do him? You know, I mean, he should have just been back playing with us. So it's okay sending boys out and loan, but they must get played. And then we can't tell another manager that he's got to play a guy. I mean, he's looking after his job as well and his team.
I think did the same not happen to the likes of was it Lee Graham
Aye.
and he went out
Yeah,
on loan.
Big Lee, aye.
He didn't
That's right, he
play
went to
as
Clyde,
much.
aye.
And did he not play him in a different position as well? There was,
Can't remember.
like he was at
Big Lee.
Clyde, wasn't he?
Aye. I mean, you're bringing names up now, and boy around about the same time as well that maybe got into our first team too quick was Paul Wallace. Paul Wallace was a talent. But I always remember, you remember a story about Lee. Hamish and I were going up to play Elgin City in a youth match, and we've got the minibus and we're going up, and what we always did when we went there, just as we turned off the A9 to head up towards, just past Davie Moor, the Granton and Spey come in there was a big lay-by, and we always used to stop at the lay-by because that was time for them to get their lunch, because we were about an hour and a bit away from Elgin and sort of 3 hours before kick-off, so Big Lee goes across and he's looking in, of course the river's running right past us, you see. Of course he was a big Glasgow boy. God, he says, this is the first time I've ever seen water without supermarket trolleys in it. Very terrific boy, Big Lee, aye. And Tomo played at that time, that's Ryan Thompson. I remember we went up to Elgin and we beat them 12-1. I think Stephen Leslie scored about 5 or 6 goals that day. And then that was on the Sunday, and Elgin withdrew for the league on the Monday. And we lost our points and all our goal difference. I mean, these are all things you never forget. You start bringing up about boys, Stephen, wee Steph and Skugel. Wee Steph come in, terrific wee lad. And we didn't pay him expenses because he was travelling for the south side of Edinburgh, so he left and he went to Livingston. And a year down the line, Livingston got 150 grand for him for Sheffield United. So these are mistakes that's made. No, and you just can't look back on them all. You've just got to look at the good times.
There's only been a few that have left here that have gone elsewhere, and other clubs have benefited from them rather than us. You just can't keep track of them all, Is there anything that, when you look back on the 20 years that you were here as a coach, is there anything that you look back on that you think, maybe I should have not done it that way, or maybe not done enough, or is there anything that you regret or not?
I can't say regret. I mean, there is certain things obviously that you might have done a wee bit differently. Sometimes placement of coaches can mean a lot. And where you've got the coaches placed can maybe help now. I mean, for example, I'll say when a thing that Stephen done just a couple of years ago, he took Frenchie away from the older ones and put them back to the under 13s. And I says, why are you doing that? Why are you taking your best coach away from? He says, when French is there, he says, some boys are coming through. He says, they're not good enough. So, he says, I've put him back there with under 13s. Now, he says, I'm going to let him bring that squad through. He says, so when they're told properly there, when they reach there, they're where what I want. Not Frenchie tearing his wee bit of hair out. So there is situations like that where I would maybe say that, that maybe some coaches should have maybe gone further down than they did and got things right at the start. A boy who, terrific coach, I mean he's up at
Arbroath now with Dick as his first ring coach, John Young. John Young was absolutely terrific with the boys. I mean, he just a character, and his training routines were terrific. I mean, at that time, as I says, I was doing a lot of administration now. Come pre-season, when we got all the laddies back in, the majority of my time was spent in the changing rooms down at the fleet grounds, getting parents to come in and sign the forms, get all the laddies signed up. But any opportunity that I got, if I got my word done, I would just go out and just walk round all the different age groups. They all had their areas that they worked in, and seen how all the coaches, all their different routines and that. And I mean, young Emma for Crowdy boys must have been a pleasure to work under. So but
the area down at the fleet grounds was actually quite good.
it was okay. It was okay when it was looked after. And then we used to play on the command park. Remember that was a hike to get across to that, and you had to set all the goals up and make sure. And then, of course, it was still owned by the MOD at that time, and getting the keys out and getting everything. It was an organisation, and but it was something. I mean, I can remember going away back that when Davie McParlin was here at Roy Woodrow, and a couple of people for the board went down and looked at the fleet grounds at the situation on the club taking it over, but they decided against it. Now I think the Forsyth Initiative bought it for something like 140,000 or something, was it? And the place is going to be a sports hub, so you never know. I mean, if things had gone right, if the club had decided to spend a bit of money at that time, then we may have been looking at the sports hub belonging to Dunfermline Athletic. We would have been away ahead of Hearts at Rickerton and Rangers at Murray Park. And
hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't
it? That's it. I mean, they just decided that the cash had to be spent in a different area. So, but I mean, it was always good when you went through to Murray Park and beat the Rangers. That was great. But a lot of good friends through there as well. You know, I mean, people that I met. I mean, Ian Gerard was a character, and the boy who's in charge of the youth through there, and Craig Mulholland, super guy. Kirk is through there. Billy Kirk was through there. It's John Brown. Billy McLaren's a scout, and I see Billy often up at Kelty when I'm up watching the boys. Remember when I was doing the administration, I would get a phone call for Billy in the 9:30 on the Sunday morning. Davie, is your game against your under 14 game against the Hibs still on at 11 o'clock this morning at the fleet grounds? Aye, Billy. I know that I'm coming through to see one of your players, Davie. I said, Billy, did he? You know, but you knew all these things were happening. But they were characters. Boys at Celtic, terrific. John Kennedy, when he was involved with the youth, what a super guy he is. I'm glad to see him doing so well. And then, of course, my pal, I seen him on the telly last night, Stevie Campbell. Stevie, who's up at Brechin now after being done the dirty on at Dundee United after having been there for so many years. But these people are all great. I think it's different now with me being away for the game for a wee while, but I mean, just before I retired, if I had wanted to go to any ground in Scotland, I could have just made a phone call to somebody that I knew in the game, and there would have been tickets there for me all over. And Alan Robertson, who was at Kilmarnock for about this, he just retired there last year, and he started off at Kilmarnock at the same time as me. He's a great guy. Well,
Davie, it's been a pleasure talking to you about the youth, and the other connection you've got with the club though is that your cousin's a director.
My cousin's a director, Ian, yes.
So the whole family has a Dunfermline connection.
Well, I mean, the bench that's outside the ground now that's been placed there in memory of my grandfather is a thing that the clubs were very grateful for that, to go there
And then next year, of course, when it's the actual 100 years of his VC being awarded, then the plinth's going out there as well. And I've just got stuff off my cousin there today to go and read. I believe we thought there was a small party coming over from Mobs to celebrate it, but as far as Ian's telling me, there's about 50 coming across. So it's, yeah, I mean, my grandfather used to be on the touchlines here. As I says, my father was secretary of the supporters club for years. I was never good enough to play for them, but I hope, just through my time, I hope I've been a help to some of the laddies and that we've had. And
yeah, I think you've contributed a fair bit over the years, Davie. So on behalf of the Heritage Trust, thank you very much.
And just to finish off what I've got to say, like, you know, I mean, I'm a lucky man that had a wife that understood. She was brought up with me playing football, and she understood that you know, that she's the love of my life, but I've got a second love was done for an athletic. And but she's been terrific with me.
Behind every good man's a good woman.
So they say.
Thank you very much.